We've made it to the end. Well done. And congratulations, because here's your bonus tip on how you can then pay off your mortgage, your home loan, that much faster. The 10 hidden costs that you need to know about if you're a first home buyer looking to purchase property in Australia. Stick around as we discover the 10 different costs that most people don't even know about when they're looking to purchase their first property in Australia. My name's Edwina Dixon and I'm here to help you actually get into the property market. It's really competitive in Australia and that's going to continue to be the case. So you want to be ahead, you want to know what the 10 hidden costs are when purchasing a property in Australia. Let's dive in. The first one is the most common one when you're purchasing a property in Australia as a first home buyer, and that's LMI. LMI, it's a term that gets thrown around a lot and you may have never heard of it before. This is why it's a hidden cost. LMI stands for Lender's Mortgage Insurance. It's an insurance that is to protect the bank, not you. This is a particular insurance that you're going to use if you're going to be borrowing more than 80% of the value of a property. Now, most Australian first home buyers, they do use Lender's Mortgage Insurance, and it's a one-time fee that's added to the overall loan when you first purchase a property. But this is one of the first things that most people completely forget about and don't really take into account when they're purchasing their first home. Number 2, we've got the cost of borrowing. Now you might be thinking, well, hold on, what's the cost? Isn't it just the home loan? Well, yes and no, because depending on what your situation is, as a first home buyer, you may actually find that because of perhaps past instances with dealing with finance, you need to actually look at a lender that isn't a traditional lender. Now, not all banks and all lenders are the same, and this is why the cost of borrowing becomes really important. The cost of borrowing is really around all of the costs associated with getting a home loan from a different bank or from a different lender. Your friends might go to a bank and be able to qualify for a home loan where they actually end up paying a whole bunch of fees to be able to get that loan. You, on the other hand, might be in a completely different financial position and you're able to qualify for a home loan from a particular bank or lender that isn't going to charge you any kind of establishment costs, any kind of valuation fees. They're not going to charge you an annual fee. They're not going to charge you settlement fees or solicitor fees. They might give it to you as a much lower cost and ongoing cost based off your financial situation. Now, here's where you want to start speaking to a mortgage broker. If you don't have one, get in touch, because understanding how a home loan is set up and the borrowing cost of getting one starts to play in how you then end up being able to pay that mortgage back. But we'll touch on a tip to help you make sure that you pay off your home loan so much faster than taking the full 30 years that the banks will allow you. Number 3, here we've got government fees. Now you might be thinking, stamp duty, obviously, I don't have to pay that. I'm a first home buyer. Well, yes and no. There's actually other government fees that you will then still have to pay. One of those is land registration. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in Australia, it is still a fee that you need to pay. It's a whole lot less than stamp duty, but it also means that you need to have cash set aside for this land transfer fee as well. The other fee that the government likes to just slide on in there is mortgage registration. Now, this is a particular fee. It's not very much. It's about $129, but it's a particular fee for the banks to then take to the State Revenue Office, and for the State Revenue Office and the Titles Office to actually make sure that there's a record of your mortgage on that property in the Titles Office. They then add that to your property and it's then recorded that you actually have a mortgage. Number 4, stamp duty. I alluded to it just a moment ago. Now you might be thinking, as a first home buyer, you don't have to pay any stamp duty. Well, again, this comes down to what's the value of the property that you're purchasing? Because there are limits to how much the value of a property is before you then have to pay any kind of stamp duty. Different states have different values. You want to check with the State Revenue Office, or again, speak to your mortgage broker about it, or your solicitor who's helping you with the conveyancing for it, but it's there. Next up, legal costs. I just mentioned solicitors and conveyancers just before, and they are a fee that you will have to pay. A lot of first home buyers forget about them when they're looking to purchase a property in Australia. What you want to know is how much a solicitor is actually going to cost you. And it really ranges depending on the type of solicitor that you're looking to get and where you are in Australia. Generally, I would say budget anywhere from $1,800 to $2,500. What is it that a solicitor or conveyancer does for you? Well, they will review the contract to make sure everything's in order, to see if there's any red flags within that contract for you. But the other thing they're going to do is they're also going to transfer the property from the seller's name legally into your name. And that's where they're working with the State Revenue Office and the Titles Office to make sure that it's recorded that you are the legal owner of that property. That's their job, and that's what they'll help you do. But often as first home buyers, especially in Australia, we do find that people forget to actually put aside a little bit of cash for solicitors and conveyancers. Number 6. Now this may not apply to you if you're purchasing a home. A standalone property doesn't have to pay this. But if you're purchasing a unit or an apartment, heads up, you might actually have to pay this one. So this is strata fees or owner's corporation fees or body corporate fees. All the same thing, but different people reference it and call it different things. Ultimately, it's a particular body that is put into place if there's multiple dwellings all on the same property. So if you're going to buy a unit that's got more than 4 units within the same block, it's going to have an owner's corporation. Their job is to make sure that everything's maintained in those common areas. And to make sure that happens, they charge you a fee. Number 7. This is home and contents insurance. You didn't think you had to get insurance, did you? Well, you do. And to make sure that your property actually goes through to settlement, you do have to have building insurance. Now, if you're buying a property and there is a strata that's part of it, they're the ones that cover the building insurance. You just have to worry about contents insurance. But if you're buying a standalone house or a unit that's part of only 3 in a block, then you still have to get building insurance. And I can tell you right now, the bank isn't going to settle until they know that you have some kind of insurance on that property so that if the place burns down and you can't live there, they're going to get their money back. Number 8, building and pest inspections. Now this is somewhat optional, but it is still a hidden cost that a lot of people overlook when trying to work out how much you're ultimately going to need to be able to buy a property in Australia. So a building and pest inspection is what you'd actually get done before you put in an offer on a property, but it's for a property that you really like. Generally, you're looking to find out whether there's any structural issues with the property, whether it's infested with termites or white ants or some other pest that is actually going to cause you a whole lot of money to get rid of. Number 9, council and water rates. These are things that you're going to pay once you've purchased the property, but they're often forgotten about and they feel kind of hidden when you're looking to purchase your first home in Australia. You want to check out what are the council rates and the water rates before you actually purchase a property. Now, in the actual contract of sale, there will be a copy of these documents in there for you to actually have a look at and get an idea of roughly how much are these things going to cost you going forward. Number 10, we've made it. This is moving and connection costs. So often we think that when we're buying a property, we're so excited about actually just moving. It's your first house, it's super exciting. But then we forget we actually have to move all of our stuff from where we were living into our new place. Now, if you're using a removalist, this might actually set you back a couple of $1,000s. So make sure you keep this in mind. The other thing is connecting. You've got to do all of your connections. That's all of your electricities, all of your gas, your internet. If you're going to have a landline, I don't know why you would, but hey. These are all additional costs that you actually need to have a little bit of cash for as well for once you've actually settled on that property. Stick around till the end because I have a special bonus for you that will help you pay off your mortgage sooner for that first home that you purchase here in Australia. Because the reality is we don't want you to take 30 years to pay off your mortgage, you should and hopefully get it done a lot faster. But stick around to the end and I'll give you a special bonus tip on how you can make a simple change that will help you cut 5 years at least off your mortgage. We've made it to the end. Well done. And congratulations, because here's your bonus tip on how you can then pay off your mortgage, your home loan, that much faster. With this simple change, you'll be able to save 5 years off the life of your loan by making this one simple change. And if you don't understand how the difference between a monthly repayment and a fortnightly repayment works, there's a video about it to give it to you in more detail. Changing your repayments from monthly repayments to fortnightly repayments will make a world of difference. You're welcome.